Hey YouTube. Oh, bloopers. Hey YouTube, how is it going? So in today's video, I am going to be setting up a custom Webpack React with TypeScript configuration. You're probably gonna be like, hey Floyd, but why don't you use CRA? I totally agree with you if you are starting off and you really don't want to deal with the complexity of setting up Webpack, Babel, and all that good stuff. Definitely go with CRA. It's a much easier way. Just hit the ground running with your application. But in a situation where you need more control over your Webpack configurations, especially with the new stuff that's coming out where it's module federation in Webpack, which isn't still available on CRA. So in that instance, then you'd probably need your own Webpack configuration. Okay, cool. Enough blabbering. So let's get right into the code. So I'm gonna break this video off into multiple stages. So first I'm gonna try to set up React to work properly, and then I'm gonna finally set up TypeScript on top of React. Okay, so let's do our usual. Let's do our yarn init.y. So we have a package.json file, so we can start downloading packages. So now we're gonna add a bunch of packages. For the first one is Webpack. So let's start with Webpack, Webpack CLI, and Webpack dev server. This should be all the Webpack stuff that we need. Essentially, we won't need any Webpack stuff after this. After this is all Babel stuff. So let's actually do this first. So we'll do -d to save it as a dev dependency. So while that's getting installed, let's actually double check package.json over here. We should get Webpack CLI, and Webpack dev server. The CLI is just going to allow us to run command line tools. Dev server is going to help us set up set up our application on a port for us to test out. And Webpack just going to have like the main core features of Webpack, which is compiling and stuff like that, or transpiling. Okay, so now let's add more packages. We need Babel core, first of all. So we need Babel core. We will need Babel preset env. We will also need Babel from Babel preset React. Yeah, preset React. And let's see what else. We need Babel loader. Yeah, so Babel loader. So let me think. So we got Babel core, Babel preset env, which is going to take our regular JavaScript and convert it into stuff that's going to work cross-browser. So even IE and stuff like that. Babel preset React is going to change our React code into JavaScript. And Babel core is going to handle all of that for us. So I think that is it for this. Let's save this as a dev dependency. So now we have all of that. There seems like there was a package that did not go through. Babel core, yarn add Babel core, Babel preset env. Oh, I see the mistake I made. So it's not dash. After Babel, there is a / over here. So / and / over here for all the core and the preset. Okay, so now we got most of our stuff that this should be basically the bare minimum we need to start off with React. So given that, let's create our Webpack config files. So let's do a touch webpack.config.js. So we have our Webpack config.js. So now let's start our configuration. So module.exports. And this is equal to our first is going to be a mode for development. So we need to point to an entry file. So let me See, okay, so we need to point to an entry file, and that entry file will be inside our source folder, and it would be index.js for now. And then our output, where we want to put our transpile code, we want to put that into our dist folder. So to do that, we need to state a path, and we also have to state a name. Right, we need to state a name and a path. This is a file name, so this output is completing because there's no comma over here. So for some reason, like, you know how we mentioned our like relative path over here, we can't do that for the output over here. We actually need to import, or we need to get in a the path module that comes with Node. So require path. So this is just gonna help us resolve paths. So over here it is path.resolve underscore dir name, which is going to give us the current directory name, and then we want to say, hey, we want to put it in dist. And for the file name, well, we're going to transpile JavaScript, so we want to put it in the JavaScript folder, and just I'm going to call it main.js over here. So that's all we need. Extensions, so this is going to be the list of extensions that will be watched and transpiled. So the list of them would just be, for now, it would just be JavaScript for now. Okay, so now comes the interesting part. Now we gotta attach our modules or our Babel loaders and stuff like that. So modules is an object, and inside that there is a modules is an object, and then inside that we have rules that need to be followed, and the rules are arrays of objects. I did that the other way, objects of arrays of objects. And so inside here we are going to try to skim out the files that we need. So over here, let me just change this to rules. This is incorrect. So over here in rules, we need to tell the module what files it should be testing. So in this case, it is the regex is //.js $. So this is just going to say, hey, all the files that end with a .js is what we're concerned with. So we got that. We are also going to say, well, our node modules actually contains a bunch of JS stuff too. So we want to actually exclude our node modules. So node modules over here, we want to exclude that. And then we want to use the loaders that we have. So our specific case, we're going to use, we downloaded our Babel loader. So over here, we are going to use our loader, which is Babel loader. So we have that for the rules and stuff. Oh, just by the way, I hate spacing at 4, so I'm just going to change it at 2 and try to format this document. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so we have modules.export, we got our rules over here, and we're checking the extensions. So we got all of the stuff that we need. Another thing is that we're just going to set up our dev server. So over here, the dev server is going to start on port 3000, and then it's going to it needs to start serving files in from a directory. So I'll have to mention its content base. Content base is going to be just the dist folder. Okay, so that's what we have over here. Let me see if I'm missing anything more. So it seems like I'm not missing anything. There's just one small thing. If you want source maps, it depends on you. So you just got to mention dev tools over here, and you just need to mention that you want source maps attached to your JavaScript, because it's just going to help you debug your code much better. Because the transpile code, there's no way anyone's kind of understanding that. So let's save this. We should be good over here. So now let's actually make our source folder, and then inside our source folder, we will make our index.js file. So we have our source folder, and inside we have our index.js file. So let's actually start off with React right now. So we have our index.js file, but we don't really have any, we didn't download our React stuff yet, our React DOM and React. So we need to download that. And we also need to download HTML plugin, Webpack HTML plugin, because how React works is that it attaches itself to a specific element with a ID. So we need to actually generate that HTML file on the fly. So let's actually get that in. So yarn add React, React DOM, and let me see, I'm spelling this right over here. So it's HTML Webpack plugin. Yeah, so it's HTML Webpack plugin, and actually HTML Webpack plugin is a dev dependency, so I'm going to save that for the other yarn add. This one should go in the regular dependencies. So yarn add Webpack HTML Webpack plugin, and this I'm going to save as a dev dependency. Okay, so now I got React, I got HTML Webpack plugin. Let's actually configure HTML Webpack plugin. So const HTML Webpack plugin is equal to require Webpack HTML Webpack plugin. So now we got the plugin over here. Now all we have to do is really plug it in, or no pun intended, but like we're just gonna use it in our plugins over here. So Webpack actually has a key called plugins. So plugins, and it's actually an array of plugins. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna instantiate the HTML Webpack plugin over here. And then we're just gonna set up one configuration, which is the template. So template is equal to in our source directory, and we're going to keep it inside our public, and it's going to be index.html. And that's going to be the file that we want to generate over and over again. So let's format this document. Seems like it's already formatted. Another thing is that we need to make our babel.rc file. We're telling it to use Babel loader, but we have set up our Babel RC file to tell Babel how to use our presets that we downloaded. We downloaded presets, but we're not really using it. So let's Babel RC, which will make your Babel RC file. And inside here, we're going to have an object called presets, and inside we're going to bring in our presets. So we have one which is Babel preset env, and then we have Babel preset react. So that's the two ones we'll be needing right now. So let me see if everything's good. We got Babel loader, we got this, we got that. So now all we have to do is set up our index.html file. So we can import React from React, and then import React DOM from React DOM. So I'm going to make a functional component, because that's what the kids are using these days. So const app is equal to an arrow function, and it's going to return just it's going to return an h1 over here, and it's just going to say hello world, you know, the classic university example. So it's going to say hello world, and now we got to take this component and mount it on our HTML file. And to do that, we're going to use React DOM. So React DOM dot let me see if I can find it over here. Let me see what it is. React DOM dot render, and then we're gonna render. We need to pass in the elements. So I'm just gonna say root over here. I'm gonna declare that soon, and then I need to pass in the app. I gotta pass in actually the app first. So I'm passing the app, oops, it's a self-closing thing, and then over here the root element. So I need to first actually also grab the root element. So at the top here I'll say const root is equal to document.getElementById, and I'm gonna give it the ID of root over here. Okay, so just so I hate spacing, let me just do this format over here. Okay, so everything looks good. So now I need to make a public folder inside our source directory, and then I also need to make our index.html file. So touch public index.html. That's going to make our index.html file over here, and now I can just say HTML over here, doc type HTML. I was hoping that it would autocomplete. Let's see, emit. Oh, I don't have it. Okay, I guess I don't have it. All right, so doc type HTML, and we have our HTML thing over here. Our first one is our head. Actually, we don't even care about that. Let's actually go straight to the body, and then inside the body, we're gonna have a div with an ID of root. Right? So that's essentially what we need. So it's just going to mount it inside our root directory. So now let's set up a few scripts. Now this should be all we need. We just need to set up a few scripts for us to use. So the few scripts we're going to use is start, or let's say dev. So yarn dev pretty much, which is going to boot up our dev server. So this is going to be Webpack, Webpack serve, which is going to boot up our server, and then for our regular build, it's just going to be Webpack, which is going to run the transpiling and everything. Okay, so we have this. Now let's see if this actually works. There might be some errors, so bear with me. So we'll do a yarn build to see if it's picking up all the correct files and stuff like that. So you may need appropriate loader to handle this. Yeah, that's fine. Mode option has not been set, so mode option to development or production. Okay, so I did make a bunch of typos here and there, so let me actually clarify what I changed over here. So let me go back a bunch over here. Let me just bring it back to what it was before. Oh, this is fine. So this is where we left off last time. So one thing is that it is actually, I need to put extensions inside resolve. So extension, resolve extensions over here. So resolve is a key, and we're going to resolve the extensions that are .js. So I got to mention that it is .js. This is also extensions. Another thing that we missed, this is module.export, so that's another thing. I'm just gonna bump this up to port 8000. That doesn't really make too much of a diff. And I think that we need to specify the relative path. So the relative path is ./dist. Another thing is that in rules over here, we need to change it to use, and yeah, and modules over here, finally our last one, our modules will turn into module. So if all is well and good, we can do a yarn dev. So a yarn dev over here, and we just made one more typo. Let me see, this is actually pretty useful. Oh, dev tools over here. So for dev tools, it's actually just, I think it's just dev tool. Yep, so this is the last key over here, so I assume this is the last error. So dist, the provider value dist is not an absolute path. It's not an absolute path. Oh yeah, we need to change this into resolve. That's the thing we have to change. And then finally do a yarn dev after trial and error over and over again. If we go now to our local host 8000, we actually have our Hello World project set up perfectly. So now you have a full-fledged React application ready at your fingertips. So now let's actually go back and let me actually undo a bit of this because it's unnecessary. This can stay a const function, and if I save that and refresh, my app is still good. And just so you know, if you save every time, it hot reloads. So if you make a change and you say this is hello idle, you save it and we can go back here and it changes to hello LD. So that's a neat little feature that comes right out of the box of Webpack. So now let's get in our favorite friends, which are TypeScript. Now, if you haven't been using TypeScript with JavaScript, I do highly recommend you go forward with every project that you do. Use TypeScript no matter how big or small. Unless you're actually scripting, then it's really not too much. It doesn't make too much of a difference if you're using TypeScript in like regular scripting. But in any case, let's actually work towards getting our TypeScript. So we have to, as usual, get a bunch of dependencies. So yarn add d, we need our TypeScript. So TypeScript is the main thing. Our next is our types for our React project and other stuff. So that is going to be in types/React and at types/React DOM. So that's going to give us our types for that. Oh, and another thing. So now since we're using TypeScript, we need to now tell Babel how to handle it. Babel will not know how to handle TypeScript files, so it will cake itself. So let's actually just break it just to show you what I mean. So we're adding TypeScript, we're adding the types and stuff like that. So that's really all we need. So now we just need to change this, rename this from a .js to .ts, and inside our Webpack folder over here, we need to say that we are also using .ts. Let's change to tsx actually, because this will help us with our syntax for writing JSX files. So .js, .js, and .ts over here. Okay, cool. Let me just correct that. Okay, so we have that. We have Babel loader. We need to change our test to also point to TypeScript files. I have the regex over here that you can do it all in one shot. So .js bracket, it's either TypeScript or JS, and then we'll put the X at on the outside, question mark $/. Now this would compile all your TypeScript and your TSX and your JSX files, and it will run it through the Babel loader. So now let's go back over here and see what is going on with this file. So it seems like over here cannot find hello and cannot find, oh, okay, so this is a TypeScript file. We need to actually rename this to a TSX so it knows that this is all JSX over here inside. So we'll just rename that. Another thing is, let's actually go over here and see if we have TypeScript. So const number is equal to 2, and then number is equal to a string. Let's see if it complains, and there we go. So it complains. So it says cannot assign number because it is a constant, but also if we make this a non-constant, this should complain as well and say type string is not assignable to type number. So that's really cool type checking that we have. So let's actually go over here and inline our number and save that. And let's try to yarn start our dev server with this. And let's see what happens. So it does break, and this is because, let's see if it says browser doesn't contain an invalid alias configuration. It's just complaining about the browser alias configuration. It doesn't give any helpful comments, but essentially what we need is to download our Babel TypeScript module. So the name of that would be, to handle TypeScript, is called yarn add-d add Babel / preset TypeScript. So this will help us handle TypeScript inside our files over here. So let me actually grab this and put it into our Babel RC file over here, paste that in, and let's actually do a yarn dev and then see how it handles it. So it says cannot resolve. Oh, okay. So because this is turned into a TSX file, so we also need to go over here and say this is TSX. Honestly, I think it can just stay as index, and it would be pretty flexible with the file name as long as there's an index file inside there. So now if we run that, oh, see, everything's working fine. We can go back over here, we can refresh, and it seems like we have hello world string. But something's weird. We don't have the TypeScript type checking for this. Like what's happening is that if we go back to Babel RC, Babel presets TypeScript just knows how to strip TypeScript outside of the files. So this Babel module is only useful for ripping out the TypeScript. It doesn't do any type checking. So that's a little difference that you gotta remember. There's other ways you can do it. You can use TS loader if you need to, but there's also another thing that's hot on the market. Let's actually download that. We'll keep this error in here just to show that, hey, this is still working when it shouldn't be. It should be failing on the builds. We need to install one more package, and this honestly will probably be our last package. So it's called yarn add-d fork ts fork-ts-checker Webpack plugin. So this will help us do all the type checking that we need, which isn't being handled right now by the plugin, unfortunately. That plugin only knows how to transpile the TypeScript to JavaScript, and it's not biased on whether the type checking is followed or not. So we have that plugin in. So now all we have to do is bring it in. So I'll just say fork ts checker Webpack plugin is equal to require fork ts Webpack plugin. So now all we have to do is bring this into our plugin section over here. So over here, I'll just instantiate the fork ts plugin. So we have a fork ts plugin over here. We have fork ts plugin over here. We brought it in. So now this should help us type check our stuff. So now if we do yarn dev, let's see what happens. So something is in, please check Webpack fork ts plugin configuration, possible errors, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I see. So we need to also instantiate our ts config file. So let's actually do that right now. So the way we can actually initialize our ts config file, we can just do yarn tsc --init, and that should actually set us up with our ts config file over here. So now with this, it should help us transpile our stuff. What we're going to do is we're just going to change allow JSX to be preserved. We are going to check JSX. Not really. We're not really going to do that. We do need skip lib checks, which is true. That's fine. Experimental decorators, you're not going to use that. Yeah, so let's see. I know we might need one more thing, but I'm curious what would happen if I do a yarn dev over here and see what happens. Okay, cool. So here is the type checking that we all needed. So if we go back over here and we change this to, let's say, 5, and we save that, there you go. So it seems like now that it's working. So if we refresh this, we get hello world 5. So now we can do anything. We can say, hey, this is an object where the key is A and it's a string. So over here, when I save it, it should complain. It should say, hey, number is not assignable to type a string. This is a really powerful feature that we weren't getting with just the Babel TypeScript what's it called, that we weren't getting with Babel preset TypeScript. All this was doing was taking out our TypeScript and leaving it as JavaScript for the next preset to transpile, and then after that the next preset will transpile. It wasn't doing any type checking. So now with fork TS checker, it now runs the check using our TSC, which we also have actually installed. When we installed TypeScript, we also installed TSC, so that does our TypeScript check, and then it spits it out our errors. So now I'm just gonna just remove this, save it, and this is probably just gonna spit out as an object over here, or let's see. Objects aren't valid. Yeah, so that's fine over here. So if we just go and say num.a and we save that, we should see now if we refresh, it's hello world string. Okay, so this is your very own custom Webpack React with TypeScript setup. Now you can just add on top of this essentially whatever you need to do in terms of customizing your own React setup. You totally can without the overhead of using CRA. CRA keeps you very locked in, but it's really good for just getting your app up and running. But if you need something more customizable, this is definitely where you should start. So I hope everyone enjoyed this video. If you did, please show your support down in the likes and comments section, and let me know what you want to see next. Otherwise, I will see everyone in the next video. Peace out.